Okay, welcome to the podcast. I don't remember the episode, but it's been a while, and we are now back. Yeah, we're now back with Lewis. Hey, Lewis.
Hello.
And we're back with Niklas. Hey, Niklas. The first time
Hello.
you are on here.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we have 2 stars,
yeah, it's really great.
and we have Morten. Welcome, Morten.
Thank you very much. Appreciate being here.
So this is gonna be the first time for Niklas, also the first time for Morten. So Niklas is one of our new admins, not new anymore, but new admins on the Discord server. He's been here for how long now, Niklas?
In the community in total, or in the admin team,
In the Discord community and the admin team, yeah.
I've probably been about more than a year, probably. I think, like in the community, and then I don't know, a few months in the admin team as well. So I mean, we have a nice upcoming virtual event, right? So yeah, looking forward to that one.
Yeah. So it's awesome to have you on the team. You brought in some awesome energy to the team, which is us here, and it's been awesome. So good job on you, by the way.
Yeah, it's good.
And yeah, it's awesome. So Morten, how are you?
I'm doing good, and I also want to say thank you to Niklas because he's an awesome guy and also doing a fantastic job. So I love the young guy, the energy, and how you really conquer the world. Even you're pretty young, but I love it. So and I know a lot of us really want to help you and everyone else that are new to this program or student ambassadors or wanting to try it, student ambassadors and stuff like that. So I think a lot of us want to help as well. So congrats on what you do. So it's really cool.
Thank you very much. Enough talking about me.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And thank you for having me here today. I have been looking forward to that. So I enjoy to come on board and share if I have something that can be of interest for everyone. So and in general, I love to share and inspire where I can, and maybe also tell my story if that is of interest as well.
Just a question for me, Morten. For those who don't know you, what's your career background and what do you get up to day to day?
Yeah, so I just turned 50, so that's
Whoa.
that
Congrats.
happened recently, and I started in the IT industry 33 years ago in '91. So that was before Niklas. I think it was.
Yeah, a few years before.
Yeah, might even be before Jonas as well, right?
It was the year I was born.
Oh, okay.
I've had been working as a consultant for many years, having different jobs along that way. I had a company in Denmark with 70 people. I sold it in 2016, and in 2018 I decided to go back to the consultancy again because I really was missing being out with my customers. And I am not a typical tech guy in that sense, because I also know my way around with processes and also the people stuff, since I have tried that, building up a business. I had employees in Hong Kong. I had it in 5 offices in Denmark. Been running 24/7 operation, building up a company like that. One of my largest customer was the jeweler company called Pandora. So we ran the entire IT globally, and so that's how I can actually also help customers with the management side of it, the people, motivation, and also the processes aspect of it, which I think is very important with what we guys do, because technology by itself is not, it's actually the easiest part when it comes to that. It's not just putting some check marks in a portal. It's also to align the competencies, the processes, and taking the company on a maturity level, on a roadmap, on a road, travel along the way. So besides that, I'm also an MVP. I'm actually a dual MVP. I just became an Azure MVP and a security MVP as well. So I also know those areas pretty much, but I do a lot of different things for my work. So I do. I also do some Intune. I also do a lot of identity. So I do a lot of different things.
Yeah, I've seen your what do you call it when you have all those medals. You are a Microsoft certified trainer, a cloud security architect, Microsoft Sentinel black belt, Microsoft Defender black belt, Microsoft Cloud Security influencer, and Sentinel influencer, and Defender for Cloud influencer. I think it's the more that's it.
I've been a certified trainer for 25 years. I became a certified trainer in 1990. So that's also my background.
So you have you have a lot of experience in all the corners of IT, which is, I agree, not only about the technical part, but a lot about the processes and the human beings behind it. So for this agenda for today, I was gonna say for tonight, but we have put on a couple of how do you call it, some subjects we want to have you to talk about, besides yourself, of course, because we have seen that you have made a tool. No, let me just put some shine on your blog first. So let me just share my screen here. Blog here. So this one, I've been following this for a long time. I could imagine that, Nicholas, you have seen this one as well, right?
Yeah.
So you have been blogging for a while, and we are all bloggers in this room on this podcast right now. And you are really digging into different areas. I saw your CrowdStrike issue, how you actually shared your knowledge around that one. How was your experience with CrowdStrike? Just to have a little focus on that one for a second.
Well, it was. I don't have any, particular experience around the CrowdStrike product, but what I tried my best was to bring all the information that came on different medias into a single blog, which continuously was updated during the day. And I had around 10,000 views a day on the blog. I have 55,000 views just on the LinkedIn post as well. So that's not the core of it. The core was to help the community when issues like this happens, because it can easily be Microsoft next time. So I think we all have a responsibility to help when things like this happens. And everyone was really kind, sending infos about lessons learned. How can we fix it on VMware? How can we fix it on Hyper-V and Azure Stack and stuff like that? And that just, my role was just putting it all together. I was actually sitting on a cruise ship on vacation when this happened. So
where are we going on the cruise ship?
I was in the Mediterranean, going, sailing, and we actually got hit by it on the ship as well. So I couldn't log on to the Wi-Fi when I woke up in the morning, because apparently that website where you log in was down due to this. So so I think it was I also sitting and helping a customer when it hit during the day. I had a customer with 3,000 clients that couldn't get access to their clients. So we're trying to see if we can solve it, and we managed to solve it, but it was pretty painful, I would say. But so again, going back to the CrowdStrike and my blog, I just had a recent situation where a Windows update caused some pretty nasty problems as well, which is also on the blog. So again, this is just an example of how we can help the community when these issues happens, and doing some sharing around it. And I just reached 10,000 followers this weekend. So I feel that I can bring that out to everyone to help. I think which we all do.
Yeah, you're definitely sharing your part of it, and you're pretty much doing like 10 people can do in the community. So you've been doing a great job.
I am curious though, if you were on a cruise ship and you started investigating this issue, did you fix anything on board, and did you get any cruise credit?
I didn't fix it for it. Actually, it was for all the cruises that was down. So the internet was down. So everyone that was connected to the internet had their connection. But the ones that did shut down the computer and you need to reconnect, they were in
Yeah,
trouble.
it was manual interaction, wasn't it, for a lot of people? You had to actually go in to the machine.
So they were, shouting it out in the speakers around that this is not a hack, and trying to calm everybody down about it.
You could just imagine it on the cruise ship. We have not been hacked. The
Yeah.
ship will not sink.
Exactly. But I think there were a lot of other peoples that were in a lot worse shape than we were.
I mean, airports, right? All those
Exactly.
kiosk devices, terminals, display boards.
Yeah,
They all needed someone to go up to those devices and physically plug in and fix something.
exactly.
I was actually in Italy the same week that this happened, and I think a few days before we traveled back home, this actually happened. So I was really happy that that this didn't happen the same day that we were going home. But nevertheless, our flight were 10 hours delayed the same day anyway. So
I can also be quite smug because none of our customers use CrowdStrike. So I was like, okay, there's a problem. I'll just carry on using Defender for now. But it could be us one day. And we have seen with Defender the shortcut removal that happened with the ASR rules a couple of months back.
Yeah,
And then the response to that was allowing people to configure the update rings for Defender.
exactly.
So we do see improvements from these sorts of incidents.
Yeah. I actually touched on that this afternoon with a customer I was with today, because they were only having one ring in their auto patch. So we are talking about maybe adding, up to 5 rings, a test, a full, and then some 3 rings in between. I think which is default. So I think that makes really good sense.
And
That makes a good point. Oh, sorry, because Lucy just wrote a blog post about AutoPatch, right?
Yeah, there's some stuff that I figured out with AutoPatch and what was preventing it. But I'm curious about your Defender ring strategy. Are you just assigning the different rings to the AutoPatch rings? So the deployment version, was it broad, stable?
I actually have a blog on my website, blog site, which covers this. So if you go to my blog and search for, update rings, it's actually a pretty popular blog post.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy with that, because like you kind of think with a security product, you want it all to be as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And
that it kind of gives a kind of a pushback to that idea about that you have to bring out these patches very fast, but on the other side you also have the availability aspect to it. So how will this impact my availability, or can I have some risk where I actually have 500 computers that are not working? And so that's how it is. It can be like a challenge between at least 3 different people or types of people, where, for example, you have the CISO guy, the security guy. He wants just put all the check marks. I want all the logs. I want everything. Let me do a catch all, and where the operation guy, he says, well, I don't want to kill my servers. Don't ruin the performance of it. And the guy who is in charge of the cost says, so do we really need all of this? And so it's always some trade-off where some of these incidents will definitely give us some lessons learned around this, where we need to become better at testing, but also have some some ring strategies, so that it's all about risk management, right? So on one side, the risk for availability issue, on the other side, the risk for having an insecure environment for a longer time. So
yeah, interesting. I'm going to look into that after this.
It's actually kind of what I wanted to achieve with the client inspector, if we could take it to there, because I think that's kind of what I wanted to achieve with that. So basically what I have for all of my customers is a solution which gives them some dashboards that will allow them to take some, I would say, core infrastructure things around their client infrastructures, and I also have the same solution for servers. So think of it as, give me a dashboard that shows all incompliant computers with BitLocker, or are we having anyone that are having Office update which is not enabled, or do we have any machines where Windows, where patches are lagging from this? And all these things is, I have decided to make it as a public or community edition. So you can actually go into that website Jonas is showing here and download the client inspector. And what it does, it actually collects different data using a PowerShell script, and you can run it through Intune with remediation jobs, which collects this. But the reason for building this was actually as a showcase for the main purpose of this, which is the log analytics side of it, because when we work with logging inside Azure, we have been using log analytics version 1 for quite some time right now, and now Microsoft are moving into log analytics version 2, which is running with some different technologies. So I decided to build an engine that can support this, so that I can bring in log data from various sources in a generic way. So what is the core of this engine is a PowerShell module that contains 25 functions. And if you show Jonas one of the links I put in you will see that this module here has been downloaded almost 1.3 million times. So, and I released it April the 15th last year, and I can actually show my screen. Then I have the link here on the screen here.
I'm like trying to find the link, because if you have
no worries.
That's the PowerShell generate.
So this is kind of the engine in this. And you can see from the numbers, it reached 1.3 million. And I just released an update 8 days ago, and it's already been downloaded 22,000 times.
So Morten, how does that feel to have so many downloads of something you have made?
Well, I'm so happy that it can make use for everyone on this, so I'm proud, of course, that it helps. And as you can see here, this is from the Learn article around this. You can actually see that Microsoft chose to include this module into this. I have another article here as well, similar, where it is also in here. So again, it's not about me, it's about how we can help. And this tool definitely helps people to move to the new way of doing logging, which is a more complex way to do it. So Client Inspector is basically just a showcase that will allow you to take data, and you can just do whatever you want and take the data, what you want from the machines, and bring them into your environment. And I can actually let me just see if I can get my PowerShell in the list here.
So what I do like, Morten, is that I've been looking into the architecture behind it, and you just said a few words about it as well. When you just search for what you were searching for. Because I've been seeing to all the others out here that you've been using many different in your technology stack.
So these are some of the things here, right? So these data are just being collected, and so and again, this is just a PowerShell script, but the whole magic around this is this engine and the way to collect the data and to send it through the pipeline, and then once we have the data in the log analytics workspace, then we can do some magic on top of it. Like we can create K-12 queries, we can set up alerting, we can do dashboards, we can make reports, but the focus here is not around the collection aspect to it. It's more about are we in control within our environment? Do we have some drifts in our environment where our machines are drifting away from how we want them to be? And I'm showing now here an example of one of the dashboards that are in here, which is included. So if you go on my GitHub and you download it, you actually get 15 dashboards and workbooks that comes along with it. So this is an example where you can see here that you can actually find that I have 3 incompliant BitLogger, and I can click on it, and it will allow me to do some drill down. I can see which is incompliant, which is incompliant and compliant, and what is the TPM status and stuff like that. So this is just, again, bringing in data, and we can do some dashboards to see where we are drifting, and try to focus on this. And some of these data could be available inside Defender, and it could be that we have other tools today, but this is just an example of how we can bring these data in. And this solution here, running on 500 computers, cost around 200 Danish kroner for to run it. So it's even with the daily collection. So I have customers that runs on 8,000 computers that collects this, and it costs a fraction because it's very inexpensive to have these data in this media. So again, from a modern workplace perspective, this is just an example of how we can bring in data, we can push it into the platform and use it, and the module can really help to do this. I'm not going to take you into why the complexity around this, but going from version 1 to version 2 is very more complex, and this is where it helps.
Is it
go on, Nicholas.
Yeah, I have a quick question. Is it so if I would like maybe perhaps to only have one set of things collected, is it possible to customize?
It's just a PowerShell script, so
Okay.
you can basically just modify it to your needs and use it. So I have seen use cases of this in really cool ways. For example, I have a customer that has 120 SQL servers that runs 1,200 SQL databases. And we were discussing about how we can do some monitoring of these SQL databases and SQL servers. And I showed him how we can leverage this and bringing the data into log analytics. And he was also looking into Grafana and stuff like that, which would be a very costly way to do it. So we ended up building it where we collect the data every 5 minutes from these servers. And it cost them 22 Danish kroners a month.
Okay. Wow.
You
So
know,
you collected data that was already almost
yeah.
free.
I have another customer that uses this to monitor. It's a German enterprise production company, very large, that monitor their production using this, where we bring in telemetry from various sources, and then we can do some querying, and we can do some alerting and some dashboards. And I also have a customer that brings in TSM backup statistics from all servers and bringing into log analytics, and he can do some queries about who is sending in what data and who is taking longer and stuff like that. So it's just imagination how you can use it. I had a customer that was they had a business case where they had a lot of local printers in their different offices, and they have 220 sites. So that means that they needed to figure out, do we visit these 220 different locations with a piece of paper and write down what is stored locally on all the office there? Or can we automate this collection and bring the data in? So we ended up doing that. And now they can figure out if it's cheaper for them to get rid of the local printers or replace them with some larger printers, like multifunctional printers, as an example. I can actually show a demo, a simple demo, which is also pretty useful once you have this data here. Let me just show my PowerShell again here. So one of my customers, what they wanted to do was actually to utilize all the data which was now collected, and then they wanted to figure out for budgeting purposes, when was these computers bought and how many do we need to replace? So this customer has 8,000 computers, and they don't have an invoice system where they know that this serial number was bought on this date and so on. So we needed to end up with 300 managers that was getting a spreadsheet saying, you need to put into your budget that you have 5 computers that needs to be replaced, and you have 7 computers. So
because people usually replace them on a 3-year contract or something like that, right?
So this is an example of how I built that. Let me just see. I think I have to share another screen. So what you can see here from the screen is actually what I did was I know the serial number of the computers. So, and I know there's a warranty database on the website, on the internet from Lenovo. And I got an API key from Lenovo for free. And I have a similar API key from Dell. So now I'm asking Dell and Lenovo warranty API, when did I buy this computer? And that means that now I can actually automate all the things that was collected. And let me just show the other screen here, because it started up my Excel. So I just need to show my Excel. It is right here. So here on the screen now, you can actually see that it has started up Excel, and it has extracted the information. When did I buy this computer? When was it purchased? Is it still in warranty and stuff like that? And this is just an example of how we can use data that originally was collected by Client Inspector, but we just make a use case out of it, right?
Yes, you could also present it in Power BI, I could imagine.
Exactly. So you have all the data, and it is just collected from, Lenovo and Dell's warranty database. But it's just an example of how we can, add value to our customers out there, or with these types of data.
At a super high level, who is the intended audience for Client Inspector? Are we talking on-prem people with config man, or are we talking Intune as well, or just any endpoint out there?
Anyone. One of my customers are using a system called Kappa. So it's basically just kicking off a PowerShell script. So it really doesn't matter how the name of the engine. So it's basically just running a PowerShell script, collecting the data, putting it up into a log analytics environment. And it runs typically as a remediation job inside Intune. Most of my customers are using Intune. Not so many stick with config manager still in where I work. So most are with Intune.
And so, like, I'm just thinking about how this works. And in the remediation script, what is it you're looking to detect?
I'm not doing a detection. I'm basically just running the script every 8 hours.
Right. Okay.
So it's just checking when was it last run. Then it just kicks off.
And some of the data I noticed when you were showing the reports and the workbooks, that like BitLocker stuff and compliance is shown natively by Intune. Why is Client Inspector better than the report that's already there?
So the reason for building this was to initially, some of my customers are not running a Microsoft infrastructure. So you can say that if there is a data already inside Intune, you could easily go with that. That would make really good sense. But originally, when this was built, which was in 2000 and originally, I think I started with this in 2019, and at that time there were a lot of gaps that were not there. BitLocker was not there and stuff like that. So
okay. So it's evolved.
So basically, you can easily integrate the data if it's already there. There's no need for it to collect it again.
Yeah, I think I've seen a few pictures, Morten, where you've taken a photo of someone where it's on a flat screen or it's on a TV at some.
You can actually show the screen on the GitHub you were showing before, Jonas. If you do that and you scroll down a little bit, that's actually one of my customers. If you want to share that. What you can see is actually on one screen he has all the servers, and on the other side he has all the clients. So
it's like, I think the great thing about this is that it's not only for IT people, it's also for management, and it makes it a little bit easier for them to understand what's actually happening.
But again, this is there's an example. But again, I think what is important here is that we focus on the deviations, right? So we define kind of a baseline or a template to how we want things to be, but we also want to react on where things are drifting away from our desired state. So, for example, if I had a customer where we could see that we had more than 100 blue screens, and we really could not understand why we had so many blue screens. Did we release a patch that was bad or something like that? So we actually found out that the way that a lot of the users are shutting down their computer when they want to go home is taking the big power button. So we realized that we also had a discussion around this. It could also be, situations where we thought that we were in control, and then maybe, we thought that all computers, all servers were part of the Windows update. But having this dashboard, we could actually zoom in, and we found maybe servers that had not been restarted for more than 300 days. And that means that there's something wrong with the patch process, because normally a server would be patched monthly. So again, this allows us to just collect data and bring them in and show an example of how are we in control, are we not in control, and we can do some drill down into this.
So it is. I think it's really impressive that you can talk about a scenario with a customer and you can see some kind of value for what they're saying. So they have an issue and you want to fix it, and you just prove that all these different technologies are able to be combined together and prove into like a tool that is shared freely with the community, which also probably hopefully gives other people some kind of inspiration, as I think you are with this tool. You also was great inspiration before, but I think it will give people like a understanding of what you're capable to actually do with the tools. Impressive.
I'm also wondering what your thoughts are on things like config refresh and how that will make your life easier, because we hope that the drift issue is reduced with config refresh, right?
I'm not so familiar with that, but I think it could be. I think it's important that we have these self-healing, mechanism that will, once a process becomes mature, it can help us, to fix issues. I've also seen an example that Yannick, you probably know him, all of you, that he's been working on is like an AI engine where it allows you to kind of build me, you have this abnormally detection where 50 machines or 1,000 machines are not compliant. Go fix it, right? And it will create a script using AI and go out and fix it. So I think these self-mechanism things are pretty cool and something that we should have more of. But I think it's also around the maturity aspect to this, because typically you want to have reporting as your first way to approach it, because give me a report of where we are not compliant, and then let's start to work on fixing these issues, and if it becomes more and more standardized, we can automate it, but it has to go through a life cycle, because the customer or the company needs to be matured along the way.
I have one question. So just to end on the client inspector, the last question for that one. What is your future plan with the client inspector?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't really spend time on building new dashboards and stuff like that. I think people have seen what you can do with the technology around it. So I think it's just your imagination on how you can evolve this. I have added or built more dashboards using same mechanism over time. So I think it's our imagination that can just take us further for this. But I have been updating the engine around this, because Microsoft has now announced an end of date going from version 1 to version 2. So there will be a lot of companies or customers out there that are doing this transition. And this is where it can really, really help along the way. But in general, I do a lot of try to see if there is a need for something that I maybe struggle with on a day-to-day basis, and then I try to build it, similar to probably what all of us are doing, right? And I've just seen that creating some PowerShell modules I can reuse. For example, right now I'm working on a solution to automate conditional access management using a command line. So it's not just an import-export feature, it's actually management of the conditional access using a command line. I'm working on that as we speak.
Okay, cool. A lot of tools on the table. And yeah, okay. So how do we continue on that one?
Yeah.
We have on the... Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I have another example, which is around another tool that I've been working very much on is the Entra product series, where Microsoft released the Entra Global Secure Access Client, which has the private access capabilities, the internet access capabilities, and I'm working closely with the product team to both bring in some fixes to the product, found some bugs, but also trying to solve an issue with, for example, automatic network detection, as an example. This is a feature that will be released later on this year, but it is not there right now. So I actually agreed with the product team to build a blog around this, and I've also built some scripts that goes along with this, which will help to detect when think of this as a VPN client, but if you are physically located on the network where close to where the servers are, you don't want the traffic from the endpoint to go through the tunnel and
That does make sense, right?
yeah, and it makes pretty good sense. So this is where this tool actually solves that problem.
Feels similar to how with Intune only joined devices, their default firewall profile might be public, but there are
Yeah.
settings in the catalog where you can say if it detects a certain HTTPS endpoint, switch to the private profile or the domain profile and
Yes,
start applying different rules for that scenario.
yes, exactly. So and this came from a need from a customer, and the solution has also evolved, as you can see from the timeline that is mentioned there. So eventually this will come into the product, but it's not there at the moment. So instead of having, I know there is a demand for this because I'm getting tons of questions around this, and you can see from the comment at the bottom, other people are asking and also writing me directly. So this is just to fill in the gap for this need.
So, Morten, can you just quickly try to explain what is actually Entra Private Access and what is a Global
Yeah,
Secure Access for
I
those that
can do
doesn't know?
that. Yeah. So I think the two main features that we could touch on is the private access feature, which is similar to what we know as a VPN solution. So it's an outside in communication. So how I use it in with my customers are that I use Windows Hello with Kerberos Trust, which gives me the possibility to have the communication to my Active Directory resources, and it allows me to have the Kerberos Trust, so that I can get a Kerberos token. But the problem that I'm missing is the line of sight to the domain controller and to the resources, and this is where the Entra private access comes into play. So it gives me a tunnel where it uses split tunneling, so I can sit from my machine and I can access an internal resources going through the Entra trust, and the components that are used to deliver this service is actually components that we already know and all admins are familiar with. Things like conditional access, enterprise apps, so it's pretty easy to set it up. It took me 20 minutes when I to set it up initially, when I knew these technologies, and so it's an easy solution to get moving with. So the other solution, so again, it's a tunnel. It runs on the Microsoft backend. Right now, I am connected, for example, to Berlin, as an example. In an hour, I could be connected to Sweden. We will be able to manage these things in the future soon. But again, it connects over the back end with the WAN that Microsoft provides. Where the other one, the internet access, is a tunnel, a secure tunnel, all the way to my Office 365 resources, but in general, it's actually to all my cloud applications. So it's a secure way to where it also has some security features along, so that it includes like MFA and stuff like that, and it checks for phishing and stuff like that along the way. So
just a question on the private access stuff, because with Kerberos Trust, you need to be using the DC as DNS for it to all talk to each other.
Yeah.
Did you have to do anything fancy with the private access connection to make it use that?
It's actually funny that you just mentioned that, because yesterday Microsoft released this for public preview. So you can actually search for Kerberos Trust and Entra private access. I believe you could probably find the article right now. So what we have is a new here it is. Let me just show the article which was released yesterday, where it went public. So here you have the how you can set it up. So all the things are described in here, where you can set it up. So one of the cool things that you have is that you have a private DNS feature, so that it will automatically route a DNS name into the tunnel. So that you can say, whenever I type in, for example, / the server name dot, and then the DNS name dot local / scripts or whatever, then it will automatically route that traffic through the tunnel. Whereas if I do other stuff, it will go directly out to the internet. So everything is covered in this article here, actually.
Yeah, I mean, when you said you were using Kerberos Trust through the tunnel, I was like, wow, how is he doing that? But okay, I never knew that article existed.
Yeah, so basically it gives me so it's using Windows Hello, Kerberos Trust, and it talks with the Entra Kerberos, and then it and my users are 80 Connect synced out. So that's how I can access my 80 resources, even though my computer is a modern computer.
It's one of my favorite concepts to talk about with people, because I've literally had this discussion 3 times this week, where people believe that they need to remove their domain controller before they go cloud native with Intune. That's just not the case.
Exactly.
You can do all the cool stuff right now.
And from a security aspect, we want to get rid of the potential threats that the AD has. And for all Office users today, I don't see a need for them to be hybrid joined, right? So
hooray!
Let's not go to the hybrid discussion.
So again, and I think this little the private access aspect to it is completing that story, and allows me to give the line of sight around this. I have a customer with, I think, 500 computers that are rolling this out now, and the only thing I think is there's one thing that I'm lacking, and that is the number one ask from the product teams, which is what they refer to as a B2B scenario, which think of it as a consultant that are working with a customer, and he is connected to one tenant, and he wants to connect to a customer tenant. At the moment, it is not a supported scenario. So we cannot do private access in that B2B scenario. That is number one ask, and that will be fixed.
Surely the more secure resolution of that is just to give them Windows 365, right?
That is, I think, a workaround.
Because if you don't do that, you're relying on the trust of the security of the consultant's device, and you don't know how many
Exactly.
different customers they've
Yeah.
got access to, whether they've got tokens saved in browser sessions for all their customers.
Yeah.
Windows 365 is really the way to go there.
I love the concept. I'm using it myself. So, but customers are having different use cases for this. So.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it as well. You talk about a little bit about the protection as well and security. The man-in-the-middle attack replay tokens. It's gonna be protected when you're gonna go the private access route. You have all the features in security poll that you can enable that could prevent it, but this would pretty much be a big factor in preventing this.
Yeah.
This from happening.
It's a part of the Entra suite, right? The new Entra suite.
Yeah,
it is. Okay, so we have, sorry to cut you off, Niklas, but just because we have a bit of time left. We have 10 minutes left. So the next thing we have on the agenda, if that's okay with you, Morten.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to talk, we talked a little about it in the beginning about your life, but we didn't went into all the fun part of it, because I know you've been doing a lot of MVP stuff, of course. You've been traveling a lot. I know you prepared a few pictures for us, if I'm correct.
Yeah. I can do that. Yeah.
What is not awesome to end it off on some pictures that you've been taking, because I know you've been traveling the world around. You have Exposed Live as well. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Awesome job they've been doing here in Denmark.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I can try to show a little bit from this. So again, for me, I like to get to know people, right? So for me, I like to give feedback. So I've been doing feedbacks for 30 years, and I enjoy to do that. So I think we all have responsibility. If we have a knowledge about way that we can improve things, and I feel that we should do that. And so I like to give feedback, and the way that I do feedback is by setting up meetings with product teams, and I typically come prepared and have maybe, if I go to the Redmond office, I maybe have 15 meetings during a week. So I have been, these meetings with the product teams. And one of the things that I like is to do some pictures and to get to know the people that are working inside it. So have the personal, the relationship around this. And these are, I'm just sharing my screen. I think it's coming up right now. So these are just some pictures, an example from the Redmond office. For example, this is the team that runs Azure ARM, the resource management. This is the PIM team.
Morten, I need to ask, because I'm sure people are agreeing with me on this. Where do you have all that energy from? You meeting all these people? Because I know when I'm talking with other people, I get tired.
I really do get energy from this.
Okay.
So
I think Jonas, that makes you an introvert, and Morten's an extrovert.
Actually, this is kind of a fun story, because what you see here on the screen is actually Danish kransekage. So the story around this was that I wanted to celebrate with the product team that we reached 583,000 downloads of that product module that we saw before. So I found a Danish baker that is in Seattle, and I called him up. Can you create some Danish kransekage with some American and Danish flags, and then we're gonna celebrate. So this is just an example of how we also have a little fun around this, so that we can do that. So as you can see here, these are from the Redmond from Ireland. This is an example when I was in India, where I was meeting a lot of the product team. So I think it will come in a few seconds. I see something different on my screen right now.
Okay, maybe just stop and start again. Maybe.
I'll
Yeah.
do the sharing again here, like an example. So here we go. So this is from India, where I'm meeting different product teams, getting to know them very well. So for example, this is the team that builds Azure Update Manager as an example. So again, for me, it is around, giving feedback and getting to know all these fine people. And they have become my very good friends, and I've had so many great times. This is an example from let me see if it comes, otherwise let me just share it again.
So you got the Defender for Office 365 PM on that other picture.
Yeah, exactly. From Bangalore. And this is from Israel, where I have met a lot of great friends down there as well. For example, this is the entire log analytics PM worldwide team that are in here. So for me, it is about giving feedback, and they have become really good friends along the way. And what some of it when so what happened was that I've been doing a lot of feedback, and I kind of got some hints from some PMs saying, Morten, you should definitely start to do some more blogging. This was before I was nominated as an MVP. So what happened was that on the 6th of January 23, I was nominated to become an MVP by Rod Trent. And 3 weeks later, on February 1st, it was announced. So it took me 3 weeks.
That was quick.
And Rod said it's a world record in the MVP story. And some part of it was that I asked 10 people, would you co-sponsor me for this? And they all said yes. So I don't know if that's everything, but that's how they have also given me something back.
I think I have a question, maybe, Morten. So for, I think, maybe young guys and girls that wants to pursue a career in IT and wants to get involved in community, wants to get involved in getting a big network like yourself, what are the best tips that you can share? Because you have tried a lot in your career and met a lot of people and have a big network, right?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's both you have something to be aware of, and we also need to help you along the way. And like I was saying in the beginning, that we all want to help the next generation. So, but focusing on the next generation, I think being yourself, getting connections. I think for me, getting to know people, getting the connections, getting to learn people. I think that is something that I find is very important. And also to jump out and try something new things, and also to ask for help, try to do some work like you do, for example, speaking, try to do some blogging. I think there are some boundaries that needs to be crossed along the way, but I think be yourself and meeting people. I think that is important for me, because when you have an issue and the person that can help you, either if it's an MVP or it's a product team or it's your parents, whatever, once you know them and you have maybe met them if possible, or had a team's discussion with them, I think that's where it helps me at least as a person. And I think I can give you an example of that story in a few seconds. But I think it can also be a challenge along the way. I was doing a presentation for 250 students in India at a university, and there were some people asking some really hard questions, like, I want to pursue security. How do I do that, right? How do I do that? Because in one side, we need to have a baseline of knowledge so that we can add to it. But at the same time, things are also moving into become a more specialized world. So how do we both, choose the right specialty, but also get the fundament knowledge in place? That can be a really challenge, and especially when it comes to the speed that we face today. Like every Friday I get an email about what new features came this week, right? So how do we both keep up with the changes and also learn at the same time?
I remember back in the day when I started, I had some programming experience.
Yeah.
That's where I started making websites. So
Yeah.
that programming knowledge actually gave me some kind of fundamental understanding of all the other different platforms that exist, because I have an understanding of the communication in the back end.
Yeah. But like, I really liked what you guys were doing when I met you at MMS MOA, as an example. You had a company that wanted to invest with you, which was great, and you came to the US and you invested a lot of time in meeting other people and having discussions with them, just tagging along, and you got to meet Rod, and next week or in a couple of weeks, you're gonna be in the show with him as well. And so I think just do what you do. It's actually really cool what you do, and the way you do it. But I think I think for me, it's like people that wants to become an MVP. For me, MVP is not a target, right?
No,
I think it's a bonus. For me, it is the passion around sharing knowledge, and trying to help. Right now, for example, we are discussing around Experts Live 25, which will happen in March next year. And we are so passionate around it. And tomorrow we have Experts Live meetup as well. So whatever people can do that can bring value to it, I think that's the important stuff, and it needs to come natural to you. And then if someone decides that you are making the cut to become an MVP, that's just a bonus. I think people that try too hard become an MVP, I think they struggle along the way, because they're missing some of the passion around it. At least that's how I see it.
I think we have this discussion quite a lot in different discords and things about MVP and what it means, and I always kind of say the same thing, that whoever you speak to who's an MVP, we all have different answers as to what it means.
Yes.
Some people are really technical and do extreme deep dives on their subject matter of expertise.
Yeah.
Some people are really good with people and getting people engaged at the low level. So
Yeah.
you've never used M365. I'm really good at presenting about 365. Here's my presentation. But
Yeah.
that engagement is really broad, but it's really low level. That's an MVP to me. You're getting people engaged with something they've never seen before.
But I think it's similar to I think it will also change when you like. For example, Nicholas does not make. I don't know if you have a girlfriend, as an example. So one time when you get a girlfriend, then you get kids, and you get a dog or whatever. So things will change, and your priorities will change. Suddenly your kids will be much more of a focus to you, and we need to do things so that it feels right in the stomach along the way. So it's fun, right? It shouldn't be that, oh, I have to do some blogging tonight or whatever. It has to be fun along the way.
I'm talking about fun. This one, right?
Yes.
That was fun.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope to see you again next year. It could be a lot of fun. So I can actually share a little bit about it, what we are aiming for, because this was
I met Niklas there for the first time.
Yes, very good. So we ended up doing our very first conference, and we were 285 people from 9 countries. And next year in March, we are targeting 500 people. And it will be held in what I refer to as the IMAX theaters out in Fisketorvet in Denmark. Where we're gonna have 7 cinemas, including the IMAX theater. So we will be all sitting in very good, comfortable chairs.
I've seen the movies there a couple of times. They're really good seats. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if there will be popcorn, but I think that will
Gotta have popcorn, Morten.
Yeah, popcorn, so cola, and then we will do a full day of sessions, and and then we are targeting to do a film afterwards. Ending up the day with a movie and again, it's fun, and we are working our ass off to make it a great event. And but it's, I think, what we like is how it adds value to everyone, and I think bringing people together is very important. A hybrid scenario and teams and all these online things are here to stay, but I don't think it will ever beat the in-person experience that we all like. So that is the core of our conference and our meetups, is to do it in person. But I fully respect and I love what everyone are doing, including this. So again, we are using different ways to communicate to this. But I hope you guys.
Quite funny. When I met some people at MMS,
yeah,
they were like, "I don't really know who you are. You're not on Twitter, really. I don't know where do you spend your time." I was like, "Yeah, I'm in Discord," and they're like, "Oh, that's where you are."
Yeah.
And like you say, there's different channels to reach people,
Exactly.
and Discord for us is how we get to people most of the time.
Yes.
And there's lots of different Discord communities going around, and
exactly.
yeah, it's just interesting to see how people choose to communicate.
Yeah. And I think and for example, I started out doing a lot of blogs, and now I'm doing a lot of speaks. So it's just how things change, and what how much time you have and stuff like that. So I think I love what everyone are doing, and some are writing a book. Whatever works for people. Personally, I like, my energy comes from people writing, "Oh, thumbs up, great, article," or I'm on stage and I can see their eyes where they learn something new, and it makes my day, to have those experiences. And personally, I like to travel. So if I can also combine it with traveling, for example, I'm going to MMS in Florida to speak with Rod, and next week, in 2 weeks' time, I'm speaking at Experts Live in Europe, in Budapest, and in November, I'm going to Oslo to the NIC conference to speak, and I'm also going to Ignite as well. So I like to come around.
Nice.
Okay, guys, so this was a awesome episode. Niklas here for the first time, Morten here for the first time. It's been great. So I'm gonna cut it off on this one and say thank you, Morten, very much for you coming here. Do you have any last words until we stop the recording?
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it, and I love to be here.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
See you all.